Now, a very important aspect now I'm going to discuss with you all, and I have received many queries from the field functionaries and from different bankers also, and I actually last year also I uploaded the these videos on restructuring, and many bankers have put many queries related to the operational procedure. So I am going to talk something about operational procedure. What will be the operational procedure of restructuring by the lending institutions? Here, my dear friends, I would like to tell you that as per RBI, lending institutions have to bring a board approved policy to implement the resolution plan. So, various lending institutions have to bring their own board approved policies. So, what does it mean? The main theme, the main spirit of the restructuring or the resolution plan will be same whatever RBI has directed, has instructed, but the operational procedure may be different, may vary from bank to bank. Now, based on a couple of banks strategies towards this operational restructuring framework, I just would like to share with you a few strategies which these banks are adopting, and these may be adopted by other lending institutions or other banks also, or they may have their own procedure, own operational guidelines for restructuring. But most of the banks are having these common applications, these common operating procedures. So, what are these? Let us try to understand. First is FITL, and this is called funded interest term loan. So, this is used for repayment of unpaid and accrued interest. So, suppose there is a CC account, there is a term loan account, and there is some unpaid interest there, the borrower is not in a position to pay the interest, then an FITL account can be opened and the interest can be carved out from that old account, and through FITL it can be adjusted, and that FITL will be a separate account for further 3 years with a moratorium also, and this account where the unpaid interest was there, this account will become regular. So, this is one type of you can say the operating guidelines. The other is WCTL, which is called working capital term loan. So, for repayment of overdue installments of term loan and irregularities of working capital accounts, we can take this in WCTL. Now, I would just like to make it clear, what is the difference between unpaid interest and irregularity, particularly in the working capital accounts? So, as I told that unpaid interest we have to take in FITL and irregularity we have to take in WCTL. So, what is the difference? So, friends, you all know that if a CC account, suppose at the initial stage when we sanctioned a loan account for 1 lakh rupees, the sanction limit was also 1 lakh rupees and DP was also 1 lakh rupees. But in due course of time, due to stress, we have reduced the DP because of the reduction of stocks and the suppose the increase in the receivables and some other irregularities we have found in the unit, and we have reduced the DP. So, what will happen? The outstanding minus DP will be the irregular portion. So, that irregular portion we can take as WCTL in case of working capital accounts. Now, what is WCTL2? So, WCTL2 is nothing but an additional exposure other than the overdue if required to meet out the future stress or losses. Suppose today we are going to restructure, but there may be a position that in the coming 1 year or coming few months the account is not going to revive and it is still going to be under stress. So, to meet out that stress, to meet out that loss incurring in the future, we can provide an additional exposure which is called WCTL2. And fourth one is moratorium, and this moratorium also can be provided in case of term loan to give an extra relief from repayment of EMIs, or we can also increase the repayment period of the loan. So, these are four very common operating guidelines of restructuring, which most of the banks or lending institutions adopt. But again, I would like to mention here that it may be taken from your own bank's approved lending policy on restructuring. And other guidelines are same as per the earlier circulars. The unit should not have diverted working capital funds and it should be operational. The borrower or promoter directors should have an impeccable record with our bank other than the current default or overdue, which is due to extraneous reasons and temporary in nature, but prima facie the unit must be viable. So, these are the earlier guidelines and this must be adopted in this present guidelines also. So, let us have a look of this calculation of FITL and WCTL. So, you can find it in my previous video also. So, I am just refreshing and revising it. So, what is FITL? Components to be included under FITL is unpaid interest in working capital account and unpaid interest in term loan account. So, total FITL will be A plus B. Interest on FITL will be waived for 12 months. Interest on FITL after 12 months to be charged at ROI on CC or term loan. So, friends, this calculation is based on a particular bank's operating guidelines. So, there may be a little difference in bank to bank, but this is just, you can take this as a concept of understanding FITL. Now, WCTL, as I have said, what is the WCTL? WCTL will be calculated based on the out of order position in working capital limit, that is outstanding in the working capital account less drawing power or sanction limit, whichever is lower. And we can also add some unpaid statutory dues if it is not paid. We can add installments in term loan in next 12 months also. If moratorium provided in term loan, the installment of same period should not be added. So, there is one more provision that for future 1 year, as I told, that for the provision of loss, to meet out the future loss also we can provide WCTL too. So, in WCTL also the future term loan installments up to 1 year we can take. We can also add overdue term loan principal installments under WCTL. So, repayment of terms of WCTL is 60 months, and as I told, these calculations are based on the guidelines of a particular bank. This may vary bank to bank. What is WCTL 2? So, for units which continue to incur cash losses for a period of 12 months after the restructuring package is implemented, necessary support will be given to fund the estimated cash loss as under. So, balance cash loss amount, if any, to be funded as WCTL 2, to be disbursed in a phased manner after review of the progress made under the restructuring package. Borrower's contribution should be 15% to be brought in upfront. Here I would like to clarify further why it should be disbursed in phase manner. Suppose a working capital account is there and we are funding the future loss. So, the unpaid interest we have already funded in FITL. Now, suppose in the year 2022, March 22 also it is going to be in loss and it is not able to pay the interest. So, what will happen if we do not provide any additional exposure? What will happen that after 3 months interest, this account will again turn to NPA. So, to meet out this interest from and to avoid the slippage of this account, what we are doing, we are providing the cash loss to this unit. But this cash loss, suppose per month interest is 1000 rupees and the cash loss is 15,000 rupees. So, we are funding the cash loss 15,000. We have not to disperse this total 15,000 at a time. So, as in the due course of time per month when the interest will be charged, so that interest amount we are going to debit from this WCTL 2 and we will meet out the interest expenses of that account. But here is a condition, in all accounts we should not provide WCTL 2. We have to see that its position, its projection becomes profitable in a specified period of time. So, the calculation and the guidelines which I am talking about a particular bank it has made the guideline that up to 24 months. So, in the future 24 months, if the account is turning to be profitable, these projections are profitable, then only we can provide the future cash loss to that unit. So, I hope this thing you have understood regarding WCTL 2. Borrower's contribution will be there. So, in FITL and WCTL, there is no borrower's contribution because the overdue amount only we are taking, we are carving out the overdue amount from the original loan account. So, no margin is required. But if we are providing any additional exposure, so this funding of cash loss through WCTL 2 will be treated as additional exposure, and in this case 15% margin will be required from the borrower. So, here also repayment of WCTL 2 will be commenced 12 months after date of first disbursement. So, first disbursement it may be in the next month, it may be next to next month. So, whenever the first disbursement is there, to meet out the interest expenses, we will take 12 months as moratorium period, and after that the repayment will start. WCTL 2 will be within the overall cap, and 0% interest during moratorium of 12 months, thereafter ROI as per existing CC facility. So, these were the three operating guidelines